In my previous video, I came to the conclusion that Tesla might not have been this friendly guy they are telling us about. Tesla, fighting the oil barons, wanted to give us free energy with the godly code 369. Well, let's see if this Tesla guy really is a good guy. When I did some investigation about the 369 code, it brought me to the Rodin coil and vortex-based mathematics. Here is the diagram. In short, you see a black line and a red line. These are two separate systems. Let's take the black line first. You have 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 2 is 4, 4 and 4 is 8, 8 and 8 is 16, which is 1 and 6 is 7, 7 and 7 is 14, 1 and 4 is 5, 5 and 5 is 10, 1 and 0 is 1, so you're back at 1. In the center you see the 0. So this pattern is the pattern of the torus. Let's put it on our crater and you'll see that's a perfect match. So let's take a look at the energy video, and in the front, the reddish color, you see the torus field. But in the back you have the 369 pyramid, constantly inverting, +9, -9, +9, -9. So you have the 369 pyramid. How do you create the inversion? Well, 1 and 2 is 3, 7 and 8 is 15, 1 and 5 is 6, and then 5 and 4 is 9. That is how you create the inversion. So here you have the diagram of a toroid dominated by a counter-rotating pyramid. The 369 is not the godly code, it is the parasitic code. 369 sounds a bit like 666 if you ask me. Let's look for the origins of the counter-rotating pyramid. Let's take a top view of the first pyramid. Isis. The brother of Isis was Osiris. Or Isis, reflector of Isis, mirror of Isis. Now we know the name of the pyramid, but what way are they pointing? Let's take a look at the colors. Move the two triangles apart. For people who work with computers, you have two color systems. You have the RGB, the red, green and blue, and that's the upper triangle. And you have the CMYK system. CMYK stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and the K stands for black. So let's take a look at the CMYK triangle, and in the middle you see this black triangle. The black triangle stands for Osiris, the Lord of Darkness. Then take a look at the RGB triangle. In the center you see the white triangle. That stands for Isis, Queen of the Daylight. Now we see that Osiris is the down pointing triangle and Isis the up pointing triangle. So that is the code of the parasitic system. But what about our system? Let's check it out. Take the color circle and divide it in 9. Let's create the 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5 code. That gives us the following codes: the 1, the 2, the 4, 8, the 7, and the 5. The 0 point is this color. So in a way you could call it Mother Earth blue and not the ISIS blue. Here you have the counter-rotating pyramid colors, and here you have the toroid colors. Time for an experiment. Put the 6 colors in a sequence and see what happens. I think if I could speed it up a little bit more, you would see only one color, and that would be 0.0, the blue. Maybe this sequence could have some healing effects, I don't know. Now a lesson in Egyptology. The pyramid pointing upwards represents the Ka, the soul of the living. The pyramid pointing downwards is representing the Ba, the soul of the dead. In the center of this counter-rotating mechanism, you can draw a box. When you create a star in a star in a star, you create an eternal center point, a vortex, a black hole, the Eye of Ra. You also have an eye in the Taurus, the Eye of Horus. Let's explain a few words. In Mecca, you have the black box, the Kaaba. In my view, that is not the Kaaba, but the Kaaba. And why in Saudi Arabia? Well, that is no coincidence. Plenty of words here with the Kaaba. Let's go to the so-called arch enemies of Saudi Arabia. Some of these words are probably coincidences. But let's go to another crater now, which is very important for our story. For people who saw my video about Atlantis, they know that the reflection in crater Linné is reflected in the firmament as Saturn. Let's make a 3D picture of the crater and move the sunlight. And then you see it's a crater in a crater in a crater. Let's take the Atlantis map and put it on the crater. So Atlantis is Linné, aka Saturn. Let's take a look at the science fiction version. You all probably know the story about this hexagonal shape on Saturn. So what is it? Let's take an example with this child's game. Which form fits in what form? Now let's compare it with the bigger Earth. And let's suggest that every crater has its own electrical pattern. So our crater has the toroid pattern, with in the center the Eye of Horus. You could almost compare it with a left brain and a right brain. Now every biological form created in this crater is following the toroid pattern. So every life form created in Linné is following the counter-rotating pyramid form. That gives us two craters and two electrical patterns. Well, you know the story. The crater Linné, Atlantis, is flooded. And the whole so-called Egyptian Atlantean civilization is migrating to our crater. One boat in particular caught my attention. The bark of Nuank. What is this energy form? Well, that's for my next video. But what I know is our problems began when the gods landed on Planet of the Apes. This is a battle between two energy patterns. When I was making this video, I came to another solution of our heliocentered system. Scientists on Atlantis were experimenting with their counter-rotating devices, and they accidentally created a chain reaction. This shockwave put the Earth out of orbit and created a gigantic tsunami. It also created an RGB effect that would make the Sun and the Moon both reflections of the blue Earth. Thanks for watching. See you on my next video.